Shake here with another Skorpion G game. Last time you seen this vehicle was on the Paris map, but now this time it's on a much more open type of battlefield here on Fisherman's Bay. Now when I get the South Spawn, I have an absolute favorite spot for tank destroyers or kind of more snipery mediums. Over here on this ridgeline, there's a lot of concealment with trees and shrubs, and it also provides some hard cover if you roll backwards in case you have been spotted or think you've been spotted. Which brings up a good point. When I fire from here, whether I get spotted or not, I don't wait for the sixth sense most of the time. I go ahead and back down. Now I don't get spotted here because when I fired that AMX 1357, he had actually drove behind a bush and I'm behind a bush, so I get the double bush effect even though the bushes are 7,500 meters apart. Much like the game that I actually showed on Paris, where I was in trees and the central bushes in the plaza were providing concealment. Now this game starts out fairly typical. Me in a long-range tank destroyer, taking shots of opportunity at targets that my team has spotted. There's an example of the Skorpion G's slightly derpy gun handling. It has a very accurate on paper weapon. The German 128mm or 12.8 centimeter is normally a very reliable weapon. On the Ferdinand in particular, I have had no issues with the shot placement. There you've seen it. The shot actually went in between the tracks of the SU-122-44 and underneath his hull. So no connection there. But the game starts out looking pretty solid. We're up 3-0. We have good, or at least decent map control. And outside of our way out of place T-32, we're in a pretty good situation. The city looks a little questionable because we have one heavy in the middle, and then the T-32 is actually behind myself. I don't know what his idea was, but that's the only troublesome point in the deployment would be the city. And I spent a lot of the early points of the battle each game looking at that, thinking of where I have to be to counter if I expect an area to fall. And you see here, I had mentioned I roll back when I'm in this position before I get spotted. It's like I'll fire and I roll back. That's the nice thing about this position here. Which this shot on the Tiger got me spotted. But I was already into hard cover, and with no artillery in play, there was no chance of me taking any damage. Because you have to remember that your sixth sense has a 3-second delay. So if you sit there and wait for it, 3 seconds is enough time for people to get their guns aimed at you and return towards you and aiming in on you. So if you wait for the sixth sense icon to pop up and the sound to play, you probably are going to at least take 1 or 2 hits. Particularly somebody like me with the Skorpion G, which is a large target and a high priority target. Now my fears had actually been put out and shown as true, where the city fell because, well, we were down 2 heavies. One still in the middle, the VZ-44, and the T-32, I really don't know what his plan was from the start. He's not really in concealment. He's just sitting out in the open behind me. And a top-tier heavy should not be behind tank destroyers, ever. Even a bottom-tier heavy tank should not be behind tank destroyers. That's just misplaying and misusing your hit points. Because your concealment factor is so low on a heavy that trying to snipe with it doesn't play well, especially when your team could use the armor, the hit points, and the gun in other places. So now we have lost the eastern half of the map, and we are getting pushed already at our base, and there's only a little over 4 minutes gone in this battle. And the VZ-44 is now, he's out there and alone, and with no camo, he's going to be easy for all the enemies who are flanking around to spot, and he's probably going to take a lot of hits, And now we're actually even seeing a western push. So we're starting to kind of get backed into this southwest corner of the map. And there's not much we can do about it. Because right now, currently, we have one light tank who's taking damage. And he's bottom tier anyways. And we have a number of tank destroyers. And basically, it's going to end up being the tank destroyers that have to kind of carry the load here. And tank destroyers, they carry the load in a different way than what people expect. You don't push the front like this Dicker Max did. Because while the Dicker Max is an extremely powerful tier 6 tank destroyer, he can't push. He got hit for 502 because he pushed, and then finished off by a teammate. But where we started out up 3 tanks, we were down 3 tanks there for a moment. Hit points are close, so as long as we play careful, we can actually pull this out and change it. And hitting for almost 500 damage per shot helps even out things quite a bit in a quick manner. Now, this Renegade is doing something very crazy. He's just trying to go get one shot in on a Super Hellcat, but he threw his tank away to do it. I don't know why, because the Super Hellcat wasn't the biggest threat. Just misplay by the enemy, and if they're going to do that, it's our job to take advantage of it. Brings back the little message that sometimes pop up on World of Tanks loading screens that says if your enemy's making a mistake, it says something about be polite and allow them to. But we're still pushed here into the corner, and now we've got a premium spamming Oods who had obviously is still near the position he was at originally. I don't think he's moved. I think he went to E2 and he stayed there the whole time because he had a clear line of fire at me from that position. So I need to move further back so that he doesn't get a second shot into me, because that would drop me into one-shottable territory. So I move all the way back here, and now I have at least a screening force in front of me, and this will allow me to fire at will with basically no danger of being spotted. The only trouble would be if that T-3045 pushes around G1 and gets past the building there and then comes up towards me. And I noticed a Firefly on the map making a move over there to the west, so I kind of got this sense that they are going to make their way over here. But my sense is right, it's just they are over here a little faster than I expected, with the T-3045 popping up right now. Now he could have got a shot into me, but for some reason didn't take the time to, because if you don't realize it, you have a 10-second reload on a Skorpion. The T-3045 could have easily put one hit into me and then still safely got into cover. Now I don't want to risk pushing around. I was obviously spotted, and could still have been. You go dark after 10 seconds unless somebody is running the improved radio set or the designated target skill. Now, I don't suspect the T-3045 has a designated target skill, and he can't run the improved radio set at tier 6. So try to work in some hits onto the Firefly as well. Our VK and T-32 make a move, which is what they needed to do quite a while ago. These two guys together could have easily pushed down and taken control of the west, which is something we could have made use of. And now I actually bounced a shot from the Hellcat for 115 damage blocked. Didn't show up on my damage block register there on the south, on the bottom left part of my screen, but that is a clue. Take note of what you get hit by. If you bounce a shot for a certain amount of damage, that'll let you know what gun the enemy tank is using. I know that the Hellcat is running the smaller gun. It's the 76mm, because that deals 115 damage. Now, if it was the normal setup for a Hellcat, I would have seen it pop up for 240 blocked. So something else to note, and I later in the game tell the teammates that the Hellcat has the little gun. It's actually what I run myself, because I much prefer the insane rate of fire that it gets with that weapon. And that weapon's also lighter, so the Hellcat becomes far more agile and maneuverable. Because yes, the module weight matters. Well, now, I'm thinking this. The Skorpion G on the enemy team hasn't been spotted for quite some time. And I'm believing that he has bailed. That's why I move up. I don't think he's down there. He's one-shottable at this point. Haven't seen him in a while. He's probably fallen back, and I'm suspecting that he's fallen back towards about A7, 6-ish. There's some buildings with concealment near him, and you know, seeing him on the east side of the map, it's a pretty logical deduction that he's just went back through the city, and he's probably overwatching his base from there. My assessment's right that he went back, but I'm actually surprised about where he pops up. Because later, it's going to mean that he's been driving for a while and not stopping, not even trying to get shots on anybody. Because our E25 and VK decide to move up to go after the Hellcat. And they do finish him off, which opens up some options now. Our SU-100Y looks like he's going Skorpion hunting, and our T-32 is pushing up. And I know he's going to be 100% surprised about where the Skorpion is as well. But now, the premium firing Oods has never moved. And I did get a blind hit on him. His low health there was due to a shot from me. Now with him gone, which I 100% had assumed he was still sitting there. I'm too low on ammo to keep blind firing like I was earlier. Because as you see, I only carry 6 rounds of premium, and I've already had to fire 3 of them. And I got 3 rounds of premium and 4 rounds of HE left, which is more than enough to finish the game at this point. I've got the premium still loaded, because the HE is a superior choice of ammo against the Skorpion if you know where he's going to be and you're not trying to snap a shot off. It has much lower velocity. And as you see, as soon as I turn my turret, I want to be able to fire quickly. But now that we know where he's at, I'm going to get on the move, and I will swap over to HE, because if you can hit a Skorpion G in the turret, you can do massive damage, and not just that. You can damage the gun, you can damage the ammo rack, and you can also take out the commander, the gunner, or the loader. Or maybe even a combo of multiple of the 3. So I do switch over to HE, come right up over here. E25 does a nice job of spotting him, and land a 546 damage hit. E25 finishes him for the win. And I'm showing 6,237 damage dealt. But that's not what I did. I had multiple blind shots, and this ends up actually being a 7,700 damage gain. Which of course is an ace, and then I've got a few of the ribbons, along with Confederate and high caliber. And switching over the team score, you can see I did 7,700 damage with a base XP of 1,508. IS-6 on the enemy team actually did a pretty nice job himself, but it ended up being a pretty good battle. My blind shots always cost me some extra ammo, and it came close to mattering. But it was a nice win, and I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching.